Question number 9, Dr. Kennedy Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Climate Change Issues. Does the government intend to present the Paris Climate Change Agreement to Parliament and ratify it before the end of 2016?
Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Dr. Nick Smith.
On behalf of the Minister, New Zealand was a signatory to the Paris Agreement on the very first day. The next step is a national interest analysis which will be presented with the Paris Agreement to Parliament and is subject to the treaty examination process. The timing of ratification has not yet been determined. The treaty requires 55% of emissions and 55 countries for the Paris Agreement to come into force.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Dr. Kennedy Graham.
So why is New Zealand unable to commit to ratifying the agreement in 2016 when 6 Pacific Island states have already ratified and China, US, France, Canada, Mexico and Australia have all said they'll do it this year?
Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Dr. Nick Smith.
I find the member's question ironic in that his party has argued that New Zealand, particularly with respect to the TPP, needs to have a very thorough parliamentary process around the examination of treaties before ratification. And I'd simply say to the Green Party, they can't demand one process on the TPP as slow as possible and then a separate process around the Paris Agreement on climate change, which is the opposite.
Supplementary.
Order.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question. Order. Supplementary question, Dr. Kennedy Graham.
Given that 7 months is an entirely reasonable time to do all of what the Minister has said and ratify at the end of that, given New Zealand has only 14 years to meet the commitment it made under the Paris Agreement, why won't the Minister get on and do that and ratify it and give business a clear signal to begin the transition to a cleaner future?
Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Dr. Nick Smith.
Mr. Speaker, I know the Minister is ambitious to move forward with ratification as quickly as is practical. But the first legal step that is required is the national interest analysis, and part of that work is in terms of requiring the legislative or regulatory changes that New Zealand needs to take to be able to ratify the agreement. I'd also note the same Minister has just put through Parliament changes to our emissions trading scheme that mean it's one of the most comprehensive and effective emissions trading schemes anywhere in the world.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Dr. Kennedy Graham.
Given that all those responsibilities can indeed be cleared up in the course of calendar 2016, isn't the real reason that the Minister won't commit to ratifying the Paris Agreement because the government is holding out hope it can still resort to international carbon trading and avoid cutting pollution in New Zealand?
Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Dr. Nick Smith.
The member is completely mistaken. And even with the process of ratification, the issue about what units from the previous Kyoto Agreement will be available or not is still going to be a subject of subsequent discussions through the regular climate change forums. For instance, the Kyoto Agreement took 5 further meetings to determine all the rules. That will equally be true of the Paris Agreement. That is no way any barrier to New Zealand being able to get on with ratification, of which the Minister is committed to doing as quickly, as practically as possible.
Is this a point of order?
Point of order, Speaker.
Point of order, the right Honourable.
Sir, I understand you'll be moving on to question 10. And in the interests of this Parliament's image, how did this question get past the parliamentary or the Speaker's office? I mean, that's not even grammar.
Well, it's certainly got through. If the member's not happy with the grammar, I'm afraid that's going to be his problem. It's an accepted question. Question number 10, Kanwal Singh.